And joining me now live in our Lagos studio to discuss this and much more, I have with me energy editor, New Telegraph newspaper, Adeola Yusuf. Good to have you on the breakfast show this morning.
My pleasure, always. Good
morning.
Now,
let's break down this call from the manufacturers of prepaid meters in the country. Now, they're calling for an upward review. In real economic terms, it's understandable looking at the rate of inflation, upward movement in foreign exchange rates, custom costs, container freight costs, international supply chain disruptions. The list is endless because majority of our manufacturers here are assemblers, although we still have a few who can boast of producing every single component, but majority are assemblers. How do we now tally this call for an upward adjustment and then the price the average Nigerian is already paying for either a meter or electricity?
Okay, thank you so much. First of all, I think some clarifications we need to make. The first one is that there is this, I won't call it secrecy, but ambiguity in electricity sector, which is, to me, is not applaudable. Ask anybody, is meter free? It will be somewhat difficult to say whether meter is free. Whether it's free or not, some will say it's free, some will say it's not. That is number one. Then number two, though you've been able to mention it, we do not, based on the communique issued by the so-called meter manufacturers, he has shown clearly that we do not have meter manufacturers in Nigeria. We have assemblers in Nigeria because they are still calling for extension of the day the government has given them, to ensure that they source all the materials they want to use locally. So as we speak, we do not have meter manufacturers, we have meter assemblers. So, and that is, if you have meter manufacturers, why would they be talking about foreign exchange? Why would they be talking about those things that would naturally show that, there is a need to ensure that
of the raw materials.
The raw material. So when you are importing the raw materials,
let's simply put it that we have majority as assemblers.
Yes. So what we now have now, based on the explanation that I gave earlier, we have a number of programs that the federal government has, outlined to ensure that they ensure that the very wide gap in metering is closed. So the first one that government came up with was what they call CAPMIN. CAPMIN was running, and they came up with, they discovered that CAPMIN could not, satisfy the urge they wanted it to satisfy. They came up with MAP, which is Meter Asset Providers. The meter asset provider was running as well. They came up with NMMP, that is a National Mass Metering Program. You understand? All those ones are running, side by side as we speak. But fact of the matter is that the gap that we have in Nigeria is so wide. I'm talking of the metering gap. Is so wide that people that are watching us, very, very few of them will tell you that they have prepaid meter, or they are even metered at all, and which is very, very wrong when it comes to business environment. People are not metered. The measurement, aspect of the business is very, 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 abysmally, very poor. You understand? So this effort by meter asset providers is a very, very good effort, at least to expose a number of things. That is to show that, okay, they too are suffering from what everyone is suffering from, So if they have asked, because they are providers, assemblers and meter providers, if they have asked for those things that they have asked for, it is not out of place. Because truth of the matter is that in as much as they do not manufacture all these things, and they have to depend on, importation to get those things supplied, there is no way happiness in the international community, foreign exchange and all that will not affect them, you understand? So, but truth of the matter now is that will all this now provide, the solution to the wide gap we have in metering in the country? And that is the question that everyone will expect them to answer.
How do you think this would also affect the rollout of meters? Yes, we've had timelines and deadlines for the different phases of rollout of meters. As the last count, we were being told we'll have about 1 million meters rolled out within a certain time frame. We've not necessarily reached half of that as well. The word on the street is totally different from what we have on the figures tabled on paper. And there are so many bureaucratic processes just to get meters. And Nigerians are complaining. So adding to this now, how do you think the populace would take this information if the cost of an average prepaid meter is increased?
Naturally, it is not going to be a good news for anyone, particularly, people that are
still while we are within the delusion of whether it's free or not.
Yes. So a number of people are still, that I said this earlier, there is that ambiguity in the entire system. Is meter free? Is it something that they have to pay on? How much should you pay for, if you want to be metered? All those things are still, not so clear to a number of Nigerians. And mind you, nobody will see this as a very good news, particularly those because everyone is, the economy that we are talking about is affecting everybody. You understand? And there is this issue about plan to hike the tariff and all that. So hearing that the government should increase the price of meter, no one will be happy with that. But fact of the matter is that because of the reality on ground, they are not manufacturers. As we speak, they are still providers. So there is no way their market will succeed if those things that they have highlighted are not considered. But truth of the matter is that the government and the meter set providers have to do serious sensitization and orientation of people. Let the people be aware that this is the true situation of things. You understand? It's only with that people, because if you look at the electricity sector, there is that trust issue in the electricity sector. No one trusts no one. You understand? So there is that issue on ground already. So now bringing this on board will cause a lot of
How do you also think we could also address this call? They're calling on the Nigeria Customs Service to also create a dedicated desk of teams to also fast track the clearing process of prepaid meters and components, especially at the port, having dedicated desks. This is not a call out of the blues. This would definitely help to fast track things. Do you think we would have a bulge here? Definitely. Truth of the matter is that there is this, I don't know the right name to call it. There is this break in chain of communication among agencies of government. One agency is in charge of compiling the list of those that are meriting the waiver. Another one is the one to give the waiver and all that. And there is no communication. You have to first of all go to this, and that is not good when it comes to ease of doing business as for us as a country. So when they will have to go and clear with NERC first. NERC will say, okay, you merit this to be on this list. Instead of them to go to custom again, NERC should be the one to communicate to government, because they are all working for government. You understand? So if that it's part of their calls to NERC to interface with the government. Yes. So if that issue that they have raised is considered and addressed, I think it's going to work. It's not for meter assemblers alone. It should be for everybody, everyone that is importing things. As much as there is provision for waiver, there should be thorough communication among agencies of government, so that will push us a bit higher on the list of countries when it comes to ease of doing business. And do you think there will come a time where we'll be able to produce effectively, efficiently all of the components we need in the country? Sourcing for raw materials is one thing, having to meet the capacity for production is another conversation totally, irrespective of having about 17 manufacturers coming to the table now, tabling their issue to the NERC, the federal government, and much more. Still, we seem not to be able to close this gap. Okay. So if on the average, on a monthly base, say each generate about 1,000 per se in a month now, by a multiplication of 17, that gives us 1,700, to say the least. Okay, that's to go back to the issue of misinformation in the sector. Truth of the matter, as we speak, even if any one of them has the capacity to import and assemble, they do not have the go-ahead to do that. Yes. Because they have to clear with need that stock. Well, yes. So they have to get a go-ahead from the government, because truth of the matter is that it is the government through the CBN intervention that will even provide money for this. You understand? So, and the way government does these things, they have to get clearance that, okay, we have the finances for this first before we give them the go-ahead. So it is not difficult to even import these meters we're talking about. It's not difficult, but there is a lot of bottlenecks on the way. Thank you very much for your time on the breakfast show this morning, Adiola Yusuf. It's been a pleasure speaking with you. And then, as part of the needs highlighted, a change in the modalities for the implementation of the presidential waiver of 35% to possibly 2022. We'll see how that would also play out. There's so many calls, and we can only but wait and see what will be the response. Thank you once again.
My pleasure.